We did a segment last time we were here, not a full segment, but we mentioned that we spent Saturday, April 20th, 420. We had a very, very productive 420 over at the DueDissidence podcast. Neither Russ nor myself are partakers in the festivities, so we were free to walk around the Bronx and collect some signatures for our good pal Jose Vega, who is running for Congress as
everybody else was baked.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. It was slow out. I mean, there's a Yankee game there, and we were right near Yankee Stadium, but there was not that much.
Jose, as soon as we got there, Jose pulled out the sticky icky.
Yeah, right.
It's like, exactly. Yo, my peeps, and we were like, "Nah, we don't smoke." Nah, everybody was blitzed, man. Yeah. That really helped with signature collecting, though, because
yeah,
you share the peace pipe with people; they're much more inclined to sign up.
Yeah, right. That's true. That's true. Maybe it did work to our advantage on the signatory end. But Jose's team, in all seriousness, was great. They are super on it. They're on the ball. They were active. They were engaging, and it was a great success. We signed a lot of people up that day. So we promised you guys some more video of the canvassing trip. And we have some courtesy of our new friend Nathan over at NSSN News. That is his Substack and YouTube channel. So we encourage you guys to go over there and sign up. This great young kid, he's only 15. He's actually a kid, a 15-year-old kid with a camera, followed us around all day, shot this footage, interviewed some people.
I was very impressed.
Yeah.
I was very impressed with that kid. I said, how old are you? He said 15. I said, yo, man, when I was 15, I was stealing cars and dealing drugs, man. So you stay on the straight and narrow, man. One day he's going to be John Heilman. He's going to be like, yeah, I used to run around with those independents. No. Yeah.
No, he was really good. He was really sharp. We talked to him a bunch because he hung out with us all day, and he was great. So yeah, go over and check out his channel. It's NSSN News. He has a Substack and he has a YouTube channel, and we're going to show some footage that he shot. We're going to full screen this and get rid of our DueDissidence logo for a minute, since we want our friend Nathan's logo to have the privileged spot in the upper right-hand corner of your screen. Here's some footage from 420 canvassing for our friend Jose Vega in the Bronx.
All right, my name's Jose Vega. I am a candidate for Congress running against Richie Torres here in the Bronx, specifically New York 15. I am fed up with the genocide in Gaza. I am fed up with the genocide here in the United States. Our foreign policy is a reflection of our domestic policy. What we do to other countries is what we do to our own country and our own neighborhoods and our own communities. So today we have people out here petitioning to get me on the ballot as an independent. As an independent, I require 3,500 valid signatures. We want to meet at least triple that requirement, if not blow it out the water. And I have a quorum of people who came out to support me. My friends over at DueDissidence came out to support me. They are absolutely wonderful. The things that people have doing to make this campaign possible, the way people have been bending over backwards for my campaign to make sure we can get on the ballot, has been insanely moving and inspiring to me. It keeps me focused and committed, and it gives me a responsibility to them that I have to make sure I give everything I can to this campaign. And I'm just honestly really happy people decided that I'm important enough, or that the campaign is important enough for people to fly out here, come out, spend their Saturday and Sunday with us. It's just been honestly amazing and moving, and I'm on the moon right now.
So we're here outside the Jose Vega petitioning. I'm here with Russell Dobler. What do you think, and why are you here to help Jose petition?
I feel like we cannot completely abandon electoral politics if we're going to build an overall movement, but we can't work within the two parties. If Jose were running as a Democrat, we would not get involved in that. We'd wish him luck, we love him, I've shoulder to shoulder challenged the evil interdimensional being that is Rachel Maddow. We have fought shoulder to shoulder against the Maddow beast. But if we were running as a Democrat, we wouldn't be here. We have got to start somewhere to overthrow the duopoly. It cannot just be talking in the comment section of videos. There's got to be real world action, grassroots organizing, union organizing, general strikes, and yes, electoral efforts, but from outside the rigged two-party system. So that's what we're here to support.
So you're petitioning, and can you explain what is the petitioning, how does it work, and how have you been doing it so far?
People grab a clipboard with my with my petition sheets. Anyone who's a registered New York 15 voter can sign my petition that just basically says I get the right to be on the ballot.
Here with Keaton Weiss. Keaton, what brought you out here to help petition for Jose?
Well, I got to know Jose, wow, I think a little over a year ago by now. Yeah, a little over a year ago now when he did the AOC intervention that went viral. You know, we reached out to him with our podcast and interviewed him, I think the day after, or 2 days after. And I just find him to be a very magnetic person. He's a very interesting guy. He's a guy who's not easily definable in terms of his views or his sort of ideology. But for all of the mystique around, you know, what is the LaRouche organization? Who are these people? What are they about? He's a regular New York guy, and I'm a New Yorker. My father was born and raised in the Bronx. I was raised just an hour north of the Bronx. I lived in the city for a bit. He's just a regular dude with a great love for human beings, and the incumbent now is a very sick, evil person, a very bad person, as they say. He's a very sick guy. And so I'm happy to help Jose do what he can to, if not knock him off, non-violently knock him off, should I say, to at least raise as much hell as we can about it.
Thank you.
Well, we're out here obviously getting signatures from registered voters so that independent candidates can get onto the ballot. Candidates like Jose and Diane. And, you know, my experience so far with meeting people is that they're quite fed up with the type of typical Republican or Democrat politician, and even some people that might not express their opinion too directly, like they want to get people on the ballot, to give people the option of who to vote for. So that's what I'm trying to do. How about you, Ashley?
Yeah, we're trying to make sure that Jose and Diane can pose the threat that they are with their ideas against the Republicans and Democrats. And so there's a hefty goal of 10,000 signatures for Jose and at least 96,000 for Diane, just to make sure they get on the ballot and don't have any issues when they're up against the Board of Elections. So yeah, we're all working hard to meet that goal.
Thank you.
So there's the crew gathered around the table. Had a big crowd there that day. Once again, shout out to Nathan and NSSN News. A great little. He's not actually. I was going to say great little kid. He's actually a big kid. He's actually taller than me. That guy's a big guy. Yeah. And I'm only 6'1". I know there's a lot of speculation because I look smaller on the podcast, but NSSN News, if you want to go and support an up and coming independent roving journalist. He did a great job on that video. So thank you, Nathan, for being there. And I want to make sure we give a shout out to him. But yeah, there's the crew. That's probably about a third of the total people who showed up. And so it was a great time had by all. And what that woman was saying at the end of the piece there, she was saying how they need 3,500 signatures for Jose and they need 45,000 for Diane Sayre. That number, by the way, is courtesy of Andrew Cuomo, who on his way out the door tripled the amount of signatures required for third-party candidates to get on the ballot, from 15,000 to 45,000. Jill Stein just put a video out saying that because she was in Albany. She was in my
Hang
neck of the
hang
woods.
on. But I thought
Yeah.
we have to elect Democrats to protect democracy.
Yeah.
That's what they keep telling us. The Republicans are anti-democracy and Democrats are for democracy. That's very strange.
Yeah.
That a notoriously corrupt Democratic governor did that on the way out the door in a state that still has vestiges of the corrupt Tammany Hall political machine, inextricably tied up with this one-party state Democratic Party.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. And Diane Sayer got on the ballot last time. She's running for Senate. And so their goal
was
now
that
is
under 15. Was that under the 15,000 regime?
I think it would have been under 50. Well, did she run? Did she run in 2022? If she ran in 22, that would have been probably 45. I'll have to ask Jose how many times she got that. But yeah, she qualified last time, and it's looking good. Jose doesn't want to disclose numbers because he doesn't want people to sit back and think, oh, we got this. He doesn't want a tortoise and hare type of situation. So they are continuing to pound the pavement, but their numbers are strong. We got a lot done that day. That team that we just showed you there in the video, those guys were racking up signatures all day long. I didn't do that well. I did okay. I got like 2 pages worth, but some of these guys are page after page, boom, boom, boom. They were knocking it out. They were fantastic. So it's a great team. And one of the things that I noticed was overwhelming support for the idea of an independent campaign. I only had one woman who was a partisan Democrat who wouldn't sign because she thought of a third party as a spoiler, which is, it's absurd on it. First of all, in the Bronx, the Republican is the real spoiler. Like an independent has a better chance of getting elected in the Bronx than a Republican. The Republican is kind of the third party in that situation. But anyway, I didn't argue. I tried. Well, this is just so that he's on the ballot. You don't have to vote for him, but you didn't want him on the ballot because you're going to take votes from the Democrats. But that was one person, literally. And I talked to over 100 people that day. The response, other than that, overwhelming. Oh, good. An independent. I'm fed up with Democrats and Republicans. Russell, you said you actually changed a person's mind, right?
Yeah, I had a guy say, who's he running against? I said, Richie Torres. He said, oh, I like Richie Torres. I said, Richie Torres takes the most money from AIPAC in Congress. He goes, he takes money from AIPAC, so where's your guy on AIPAC? I say he's against it. He said, all right, I'll sign. That's it. This is what a lot of organizers have. We have to look to the past. I think a lot of radical movements of the past and revolutionary movements of the past do have a lot to teach us, both in their successes and their failures, because they ran into the same kinds of issues and the same kinds of problems. This conversation about how the poor, the working class, are the people that you really need for a revolution. This is a very old conversation that's taken place in many contexts in many nations. That's what you really see when you go out to a place like the South Bronx. These people, they're so much less indoctrinated than the people that you would encounter in a more upscale neighborhood. And that's true from coast to coast. That's true wherever you go. Those people are less indoctrinated. This is part of why, we, for as long as we've had the show, we've kind of had this debate and conversation about culture wars and cultural things. That is exactly why I have always been so vehement about the need for any legitimate economic left movement to distance itself from a lot of the social engineering projects of the so-called new left, because that's how you lose those people. And I think that's by design. They don't want you to be able to bring those people in. They want you caught up in just absurdities and just nonsense that has nothing to do with most people's lives. That is why it is so important to distance yourself from it, because those are the people you can actually work with, but you have to come off as somebody they want to work with. You can't come off like some snotty asshole who doesn't approve of them, as a lot of people who consider themselves or represent themselves as the left do. And then they turn these people off.
Yeah, I mean, what you're saying is a big part of that, I think, and what is a second huge part of that, which, like I said, I saw in action immediately, not being associated with the Democratic Party.
Yes.
It was like
Right.
I felt so light out there. I felt
Right.
so free out there when I was doing this kind of shit for Bernie, and I didn't do ballot access stuff for Bernie, but I did, canvassing and door knocking. Having to knowing that question was coming. Well, are you a Democrat, Republican? He's a Democrat, but he doesn't really like the Democrats. So, it puts you in such a position of
Right.
weakness.
Yeah.
Whereas when you
Right.
say you're an independent, you define the conversation on your own terms. All of a sudden, the person is much more interested in what you have to say, because when you tell the person you're an independent, they don't make any kind of assumptions about you. They come in,
Right.
oh, okay, now I have
Right.
to pay attention to what this guy's saying, because independent can mean anything. So then you turn the flyer upside down and you show them the card and you show he wants to end the war in Ukraine and the genocide
Right.
in Gaza.
Right.
Now you get a conversation going. It's so much easier and so
Yeah.
much freer and so much more enjoyable for me and for the person on the other side. That's why getting signatures was not nearly as hard as I thought it might be. And I think a lot of people got very disillusioned with this whole process because of their experience with the Bernie Sanders campaign.
Yes.
But that's why it's important to understand the difference between, and this is why we've argued for a long time at this point, we've argued for the independent route, because when you are canvassing for a Democrat, your target voters are registered Democrats, which means, as I've said, I've been saying this literally for 5 years now, they are less persuadable, right? Like they
Right.
are not as open to having their minds changed. So when Russell talks about this guy, well, yeah, he's campaigning against Richie Torres. Oh, I like Richie Torres. Well, did you know Richie Torres takes APAC money? Oh, no, I didn't. I don't like that. Does your guy want to take APAC money? No, my guy is anti-APAC. I'll sign. You can have that discussion with someone when you're representing an independent candidate. When your target voter is an indoctrinated blue no matter who lawn sign in this house, we believe this, that, the Ukraine flag in the window, you can't convince that person of anything. They are the most closed-minded people out there.
Right.
And so
Right.
when you get out there with an independent campaign where you define the terms of the conversation from second one, anything can happen. And every conversation is much more interesting and ultimately much more rewarding, and it makes those conversions possible. And the second point I'll make is that there is no substitute for doing what we and Jose's team did last weekend. There's like being online, supporting independent media, sharing independent media, articles, stories, videos, podcasts. That's all wonderful. If we didn't think that
Yes.
was important, we wouldn't be doing it. But that is a supplement to boots on the ground. It can't be a substitute, because the only way to actually make sure you grab someone, not literally, but in a metaphorical sense, you grab someone, keep them in your sight, and convince them that you're right. There's really no better way to do that than face to face. And in Russell's case, he changed one person's mind. Now think of how much time it took to actually change someone from a Richie Torres voter to, hopefully, knock on wood, a Jose Vega voter. Think of all the time it took. It took that whole day. Most people's minds you didn't change. They either signed or didn't. You had to
Right.
get up. You had to schlep in. You had to spend all day
Right.
on the street, schlep out. It's 12 hours, a whole day to change one mind. This is why mass politics is mass politics, because the only real way to do this is to do what Russell did times 100, times 1,000, times 10,000, times 1,000,000, times 10 million. You just
Yes.
got to multiply that process over and over and over. And it's doable, and it's a lot more doable. I know people get nihilistic about this, about the game is rigged against third parties. I'm not going to argue it's not rigged against third parties, but I would say it's more doable in a third party movement than it is inside a Democratic Party, where the set of people you are trying to influence is not, they are beyond any mind changing. They cannot be influenced.
Well, and it's not only that, you have to look at the big picture. I believe the direction the left has to go in is to create something that it has not truly had in decades. A counterculture, in the true sense of a counterculture. That is not just art, although I think that's important. It's a different culture of politics. It's a different culture of media. It's a different culture of literature. It's a counterculture. There has been no counterculture on the left literally in decades. There has been, by the time you get into the 80s, the 90s, what's called counterculture is really a consumer preference. It's consumer indications. You like Nirvana. That's not a counterculture.
Right. Right.
We have not had that in a very long time, an actual anti-establishment counterculture. That is what we need to do. And just like you go back to the 50s with the beatniks, it became a big thing because eventually it caught on, but they were completely obscure originally. These were people in little coffee houses playing bongos and reciting. The average person had no idea any of that was going on. That is the position we find ourselves in today, where really you got to build it from scratch. And political campaigns like this, different ways of doing things, different ways of seeing, that is the essence of the purpose of a counterculture. That's the whole point. By definition, it is okay, what do people say to you when you talk about how bad this system is and it all has to be burned down? What do they say to you? Okay, so what's your idea? Be the change you want to be. You have to be able to answer that. You will not be able to answer that if you don't build anything, if all you're doing is criticizing what is. So this, and I don't feel it can only be this.
Right, sure.
But this has to be part of it. Finding electoral efforts that challenge this established order that needs to end.
Yes, I agree. 100%. And you can go to votevega.nyc if you want to learn more. And if you want to sign up to volunteer, we got a super chat from Jose, actually, who's watching right now. Says, we're still petitioning and we'll be again this Saturday. People should sign up. Come out. Thanks for the $5, Jose. Appreciate that.
Thank you, man.
Yes, you can go sign up, votevega.nyc. Their goal is 10,000 in 10 days. This is day 7 right now. Well, day 8, actually, right? Because day 0 was last Tuesday. But they got to keep racking them up. They got to keep racking them up, and they are hard at work doing that. So, yes, you can go sign up there.
Please clap.